All right, Jason Radtke.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks
Been
for
waiting
having
for a
me.
long time for this. So, you are my chiropractor. When I came to you, I was all banged up, sitting a little bit sideways, and wondering why my jaw was always clicking, and my feet always hurt, my stomach was messed up, and so you fixed me over those couple months, man. So thank you for that. First of all,
Absolutely.
But tell me a little bit about you. I know you're in Clovis. What's the name of your practice? How did you get into it? How did all this start?
Yeah, so we're Rapid Body Revitalization. We're in the heart of Old Town Clovis between 7th and 8th on Pulaski. We share space with my parents' practice, Bullard Chiropractic Clinic. So same door, you just walk in, second door on the right, find us right there. Chiropractic is really like a deep passion of mine, and definitely in my family. My dad inspired me from a very young age to be a chiropractor, just watching him and just all the joy he really had in his practice. It created a very magnetic environment where it attracted a lot of people, and he got the chance to really help a lot of people. And I got to see that growing up, kind of being around the office just as a kid.
Yeah.
And as a second generation chiropractor, it's really amazing to have the experience. My first experience with chiropractic was at 2.5 years old. So I was actually...
So you're just crawling around the x-ray machines at 2 years old, just
yeah,
hanging out,
oh yeah,
jumping on people's backs.
completely normal childhood. No, so
Checking out x-rays. That looks a little off.
that looks, I can see
Yeah.
it, And so it really left an imprint on me. I was having bad ear infections.
Mm-hmm.
My dad at the time was in chiropractic college, and his understanding at the time of chiropractic was very limited. And so he went to his pediatric chiropractic teacher at the school and asked, like, hey, my kid's having these ear infections. They wanted, the medication's not working. They had me on like heavy antibiotics, all this kind of stuff. Like,
Jeez, at that young of an age,
my
too.
ear was like exploding with stuff coming out of it and all this horrible stuff. He's like, is there anything that I can do for him? And the teacher was like, yeah, sure, check and adjust his upper neck. And my dad was like, you're like, what?
Well, that's everyone's reaction when we go to the chiropractor, though. You know what I mean? Because you were telling me things when I first came in, and I was like, I don't know if this guy knows what he's talking about. That's your first reaction.
It's wild. It's completely opposite from the way anyone thinks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the teacher was like, yeah, adjust his upper neck. This is how you check it. This is how you adjust it. Very gentle type thing. And my dad was like so scared for me. He was kind of, he gets mad when he's scared for his kid's health and stuff like that. So
you get frustrated and no one knows how to fix them. And
so he went home and he adjusted my upper neck and my ear infection went away. And that was my first experience with chiropractic at 2.5 years old. So, maybe the average person, this is something that I've had to come to grips with, is that the average person does not have the chiropractic experiences that someone who's had a lifelong chiropractic care experience that their whole life would have. So they don't understand the power behind the chiropractic adjustment.
Yeah.
And so now as a chiropractor, I spend a lot of my time discussing the power of what we do, of why the body is able to react in such a positive way to a chiropractic adjustment, and then of course applying that to my patient base. So that was definitely, my dad's been in practice for 40 years now. Definitely closer to the retirement age of thing, kind of slowing down a little bit. But we're still helping people to heal through the power of chiropractic. And of course, we have a few other services I'm sure we'll discuss too. But
you do it all, man. When I walked in there, I was like, what are we doing here? You've got some different alternatives. Very natural medicine meets almost like, what's the word? Not like hippie not like, but what's the word? Like people who just have like a natural.
Well, it's holistic.
Holistic, naturopath.
So,
things that people go, but then it works, and you go, why why aren't all doctors doing this? Why aren't all doctors at least discussing nutrition, different types of supplements, enzymes?
Yeah.
You know, no one's digesting their food correctly. And you hit on all of it.
Well, we really want people to heal completely.
Yeah.
And the complex ways that people's natural ability to heal is being compromised, there's so many different ways that it's being affected. So it used to be, chiropractic got founded in 1895 by Daniel David Palmer, and he was actually a Canadian magnetic healer.
See, when people hear that stuff, they get worried. You know what I mean? They start judging, and you're like, magnetic healer, it works though, you know.
You know, there's some, and we'll get into that too, because we do have some treatments that work with the magnetism of the body. You have a vital life force that flows over your body that determines whether your organs are healthy or not, or your nervous system is healthy or not, or your muscles are relaxed or whether they're tight. So there's a lot of, definitely a lot of relevance to that. But it was really interesting, the founding of chiropractic. Daniel David Palmer, he was, in his office one day. There was a janitor there that was doing his job, and they had become friends, kind of talking back and forth. And through their conversations, he found out that this janitor by the name of Harvey Lillard was actually partially deaf.
Wow.
And he had become deaf after having like a little bit of an accident, like something fell on his back and he heard a pop and like something happened and part of his hearing went away.
Kind of like your neck adjustment almost.
Kind of like the neck
Something
adjustment. Like yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Palmer, Dr. Palmer was, kind of studying really into the human body and the way that it functions and all these kind of things. And he's like, I wonder if I can find that disconnection in this person's spine and adjust it. I wonder if it would help him, type of thing. So he laid Harvey down and he adjusted him and his hearing came back.
Wow.
And being a naive early founder of of chiropractic practice, he was like, I found the cure for deafness, and he started adjusting.
That puts a bad name on the whole thing. Oh, no.
Because he thought oh my gosh, I found the key to curing these people. And
that's a career
ender.
Gotta be careful with that.
through that experience, he's like, okay, this is not the only thing that causes deafness, obviously, but I found something here. I found a connection. So it's really interesting when you start applying that regular chiropractic care to a person's body, what can actually be alleviated.
Yeah.
Because there are so many powerful things that are controlled through the neurological connection of the spine. So that's really like the basis for all chiropractic is that reconnection. And so that's what we focus on.
Well, and I'm sure with anything, with chiropractors, I've heard wild stories about dentists, chiropractors, doctors. Doctors get a bad rap. They give you the wrong medication or, diagnose or, and then it's like, oh, doctors are evil. So I have heard some crazy stories about chiropractors and the history of it, but I never heard that whole story. So I could see where some people might have ran with a part of maybe some things he said or claimed to have cured or, and then it makes the whole thing look crazy. But it's like, well, give it a shot. Hold on. Like, we're on to something here, but I think that stories like that or, and then, well, it's no different than today. If the media wants to get rid of you or some big company, you're going to mess with their capital. Now all we have to do is put some stem cells in you. You don't need this medication anymore. It's like, wait a minute, make that illegal. You sound crazy, Because we were talking about that. Yeah. You used to do stem cell injections.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I was like, can we put them in my shoulder? And then you were telling me, you were like, no, they're illegal now.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, how are they illegal? I know guys that went to Vegas in 2016. You're like, well, after that, they cut it off. FDA stepped in and probably too much. Yeah. Probably too many success stories. And you're like, and they're going to put the whole surgery business, out of business.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that aspect up because there's a lot that actually goes into that. What you have to realize is that the whole institution of medicine was founded by the richest families in the United States.
Yeah. They make the whole curriculum down.
I mean, you want to talk about crazy? You could go into the Illuminati and all the stuff surrounding all that.
It's not even a conspiracy. Just Google it. They literally made the whole school structure. You know,
they made the whole, and they got behind what is now known as Western medicine.
Yeah,
and there is definitely a place for Western medicine.
Oh,
no doubt about it. When you have a heart attack or an emergency of some kind, you sever a leg or something, like, you want the best surgeons, you want the best medications. You have an emergency where your body's out of control. You need medicine.
Yeah. Thank God for painkillers when you need them, you know? Just don't abuse them.
Oh, yeah. You give me like a category 5 migraine, like, you best believe I'm finding a dark room and the heaviest medication for the next 2 days.
I'm throwing all my natural stuff out the window. Give me the strongest painkiller you got.
Yeah. It's like, please just make this go away for a little bit, right? But when it comes down to it, the chiropractic profession, there was a famous court case by the Wilkes case, mid-1976. The International Chiropractic Association actually filed suit against the American Medical Association for working to contain and eliminate the chiropractic profession.
Whoa!
By the mid-70s, of course, chiropractic was founded in 1895, but by the mid-1970s, it had kind of reached a point where the medical profession was actually sending out negative propaganda to their patient base to get them to not go to a chiropractor.
Wow.
And they found these letters and this propaganda that was being sent out all over the place, and they got sued for, the Sherman antitrust.
So they caught them and they were able to prove it. Just the machine was coming after them. And they could prove it.
And they could prove it, and they won. So it's one of those things that
you better not start your car for
that challenges the machine of medicine, like, watch out. And
do not start your car by yourself for at least 3 months. Dude. I would be freaked.
That comment brings up some memories of reading.
If we were sitting there and then, the judge and we won, I would have been like, oh my God, I think we're actually going to win. We got to be careful now. We just went against the machine and proved it.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's wild.
And yeah, there are some reports of some really bad things happening to some doctors and stuff like that. But even in school, one of the most brilliant doctors I learned from said he had his office raided by, like, government officials and black Suburbans and all kinds of crazy stuff that it never makes the news, type of thing. Well, like, it's not really well known that stuff kind of goes on.
Sounds crazy, but we've seen a lot of that these last couple of years, though, too. Mm-hmm. Offices getting shut down, and you have your own opinion. Bye-bye. So anyway.
Anything that challenges that.
Yeah.
We see the businesses that are created around holistic healing that really gain a lot of international traction. Mm-hmm. There's books that back up the therapies and how to cure certain diseases and wordage that you're not even allowed to use when advertising from a holistic perspective. They end up operating in third world countries. They're in Mexico. They're in Costa Rica. They're in Germany. Yeah. They're in, a million other places where they're setting up these huge facilities to administer these very effective holistic treatments because in the heart of the United States, Western medicine is king.
Yeah.
And you got to really be careful what you say and what you do or you can get in trouble. So chiropractic really, had a victory there, but we're still fighting a war for our relevance, which is, it's challenged in the media a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of scare tactics, especially on,
why go get adjusted and go through a nutrition panel when I can just give you a pill, Jason? You don't need to go and get the whole nutrition panel and let me ask you about your diet and your stress and, adjust you. And, you found out that I had what was it? Like a chip in my neck bone and just all these things that have been bugging me for years. My jaw was a little off and you're like, just massage it, stress. The days you're stressed, you need to take more enzymes. And I was like, this sounds crazy. It all worked. I go and I buy those enzymes all the time now. I've told my friends about, but why do all that when you can just take a pill,
Well, and what we're finding.
So much easier.
Yeah. What we're finding is long-term management with medication comes with lots of side effects. And it's no secret, right? And so what we aim to do from a holistic perspective is help people manage their health without the side effects.
Yeah.
And it takes a different approach and a different way of thinking to accomplish that. But as science digs deeper into what we're doing, it's all connected to things like quantum physics.
Yeah.
It's all connected to the energy, vital life force of the body and how it flows over the nervous system and whether it's fully connected or disconnected and how that all takes place. So one of the most amazing things, one of my teachers in chiropractic college taught me, it was actually a philosophy class of all things, was the philosophy behind what we do all has to do with that energy. And there was a teaching that taught there are structural causes of disease or lack of organization of healthy processes in the body. There's a chemical source of these processes being disturbed, and then there's also an energetic source of that creates health problems in the body.
Yeah.
And if you address the health from the structural, the chemical, and the emotional or energetic, then you can really change someone's health holistically. And so that's why we have things in our office that are a little bit outside of the box, outside of the norm of what people would approach normally for their health. But then they have like these transformational experiences.
Yeah.
Because we're not just doing the same thing for everyone. It's not cookie cutter. Like, let's say someone comes into a medical office and they have a headache, they might get prescribed a pain medication and sent home. Whereas, like, if you come in with a headache, we're going to start with, a major source of headaches is pinched nerves in the upper neck.
Yeah.
So, of course, we need to do a full physical examination and see what's going on there. But then there are chemical sources of headaches. I can't tell you how many migraine sufferers I've helped where their triggers are MSGs and food dyes and sugar and dairy and gluten and all these kind of things that they're putting in their body. It's really gumming their system up. The gut inflammation is creating brain inflammation, and it's triggering those migraines.
Yeah. And that would sound crazy until these last couple of years. You see big publishers, huge magazines, huge companies talking about gut flora, how your second brain is in your stomach, and that's actually controlling your emotions and your anxiety and your stress. And, now your gut's the second brain and how you need to take care of it. And how, I saw this thing, these people were in court, and basically the Fruit Loops that go to Canada and Europe don't have the red dyes and the chemicals that we do. And people are getting really mad about that. Now they're connecting red dye 40 to autism, and there's big backings in publishing behind it now. It would sound crazy back then. Oh, don't let your kid, red dye, that's fine. And now with all the medical and the science and the testing, where they're like, no, that little bit of red dye every morning in that bowl of cereal for a whole year your kid's eating is messing them up, whether it's temper tantrums or they can't stay awake or they can't sleep at night. My kid, he needed more magnesium. He used to get like cramped legs and all this stuff. There's all these things. So it all sounds crazy until it's proven, and then you're like, oh wow, we should watch what we're eating and go through the whole process like how you do. Yeah, because now it doesn't sound so crazy anymore.
Through my nutritional training, there is a book called Pottinger's Cats, where they did DNA testing, generational testing on cats, feeding them a poor diet, and they were able to determine that the more generations went on with the ingestion of like the white flour, white sugar, their DNA structure actually got weaker, and the cats got sicker younger.
Down to their DNA.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're just passing that on to the next.
Oh, yeah. Your health choices are directly affecting everyone in your family line.
Wow.
And that's how important it is to eat as nutritious a diet as you possibly can. Because the more that we downgrade our DNA, that's the real thing that we're passing on to our kids, which could be cancer, could be heart disease, could be early diabetes, all the metabolic obesity diseases, all that kind of stuff. And, what's going to happen to our family line, our communities? Number one, of course, we see it now with medical offices being flooded with patients. wait, you try and get in to see a specialist, it's 6 months or more, and good luck even getting a call.
And then you get 10 minutes, and then you're out.
Yeah, you get to see their assistant for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't even see the doctor or something like that.
Doctor comes in, makes notes, and then he's out. Yeah.
Like we have the most advanced technology. We have the most advanced medications. We have the best of the best information that we've ever had, and we're the sickest that we've ever been.
Well, and we're the sickest country, I think, compared to a lot of countries, and we have all this technology.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
And until we focus on really eating to maximize and preserve our genetic information, the DNA stored in our bodies, then of course we're going to suffer. So of course that's why in our office we do the nutritional diagnostic testing. Everything's based off your neurological reflexes so that we can influence the brain and the spinal cord and how it connects through the somatic visceral reflex, which is a neurological reflex where your brain communicates through your spine to your body. And then, of course, maximizing that visceral somatic reflex where the organs actually communicate back to the brain properly and can deal with inflammation load and can have the nutrients that they need to build healthy cells instead of sicker cells.
Yeah.
And that's really what we find in our testing is that people are eating so poorly and not getting adjusted and not doing anything to rejuvenate their bodies that they just become so broken down. They create sicker cells year after year after year.
Yeah.
And every 7 to 10 years, you shed and regrow a new body. So you're either shedding and regrowing a sicker version of yourself or you're shedding and regrowing a more
I didn't think about that. Are you making a better one or a worse version every 7 years? Doesn't mean it's getting better. Because even psychologists say every 7 years the brain changes, and that's what they blame all the divorce rates on. But it's like, I don't know if it's that. But like you just said, every 7 to 10 years, are you getting better or are you getting worse? Whether it's in your mind, thinking, nutrition, anything, it all connects.
And so, like it's funny, we run these Facebook advertisements where we have like really powerful testimonials that of real actual patients that come in and get great results, right?
Yeah.
Everyone
by name.
Every once in a while you get a troll, right?
Oh yeah.
And I got this troll on there that he's like, "Oh, chiropractic is a pseudoscience." And preparing for this talk today, I'm like, kind of laughing because I've got books and books of all the scientific research of all the different things chiropractic is good for. And I was like, of course, I'm not going to post that in the comments section on
How hard was it not just to get warm those thumbs up and just start going?
Well, and it's like, you just kind of laugh it off. But, in some of the research that I have, there's a Nobel Prize winner in medicine in 1981, Roger Sperry, did the research that backed up that 90% of the brain's energy is actually used for posture. And that...
For posture?
Yeah, for posture.
Oh, wow.
And that those motor centers, right, the spine is really the motor center for the brain, and that it stimulates nutrition and stimulation to the brain when your spine moves properly. So when we evaluate someone on an x-ray and a physical exam for where their spine is stuck, that's not just creating a neck, back, low back pain of some kind or a shoulder pain of some kind or whatever. It's actually affecting your brain function and whether your body's using nutrition properly and whether you have proper posture. And these are all well documented. So it's really interesting to still hear that in 2024. That people are still like getting this like, oh, it's fake, or it's made up or that type of thing.
Well, that makes sense. You always hear Tony Robbins talking about ruts, patterns, but they used to think that guys with PTSD or whatever it might be, you had to have medication and different, there's like all these different practices, but now you have these psychologists and doctors working together and they're saying, no, the brain is actually flexible. You can grow new tissue cells through meditation. And so there, what sounds crazy right now, in 5 years, someone's going to study it and go, actually these monks up in China are right. If you sit there and meditate and think positive on it, things actually will change in the brain, but now they can scan it.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't seem so crazy because we're going, oh my God, these people meditating, these yogis, people in these other countries that are like, you kind of have the medicine in you. You just have to start practicing it. It'd be no different from that, I would think. If you can change tissue in your brain by meditating and thinking positive, or, you see these stories of these guys that are paralyzed. There was that guy, he got in an airplane accident, paralyzed. He could only blink his eyes if you needed water or food. And he said he just kept thinking positive, move big toe, move, and then his foot started moving one day.
Oh, yeah.
And before you know it, he's walking with a walker, and the doctors are just like, this doesn't make any sense. You were paralyzed. Did you form new tissue brain cells to your brain? They were like, it looks like he did. It took a long time. Of course. He was in there for years, but he just never gave up. And I was like, that would sound insane until I actually read that whole thing, and doctors were there, and there's witnesses, and he's walking now. And it's like, what else do we not know? I can't judge anything nowadays, because in a year they're just going to prove it under some x-ray or some, hook you all up to a bunch of cords and look at your brain, and they're going to go, actually, these people aren't crazy. They're right. We should have been doing this a long time ago.
There's a author, well-known, Bruce Lipton, PhD researcher.
That's what I was talking about, the Tony Robbins stuff, the thinking meditation stuff. Yeah.
He wrote the book Biology of Belief, and he's really like spearheaded that metaphysical or quantum physical approach to health. And there's a whole level of genetics. So one of the things that we heard a lot for a long time coming out of medical offices was, well, it's in your genetics, it's your genes.
Can't change it.
You got it from your mom, you got it from your dad, all that kind of stuff.
With it.
Well, now they're coming out with the whole realm of epigenetics.
Yeah.
Where you can actually turn on and off. Like, you can choose what genes in your body to turn on.
Yeah.
And we're doing it subconsciously. So we're obviously not thinking, oh, I'm going to turn off my diabetic gene and I'm going to turn on my healthiest vital gene or whatever. Yeah. But all your food choices, your lifestyle choices, your environmental choices are all determining that on a daily basis.
Yeah. So it's patterns, just like they talk about. It's all just patterns. And then the brain will start to respond. Like Tony Robbins, he says, if you're depressed or anxious, or, he says, put your chest up higher. Physically, it made me think now, with the brain and the spinal cord, the posture, wow, it all just came together.
Oh, yeah.
He says before he would go into an office or a big meeting, if he was nervous, or, these big guys in these New York, sky rises, you stand up with a posture, you pump up your chest, and you just put your hands on your waist. And your body will actually start to go, oh, we're not nervous. Because the brain and the body, they don't, the body's dumb. The brain is like, what are we doing? So if you even just change your posture and sit up, you'll naturally have more confidence. Your voice will change. People look at you different just by raising up your posture, like you were saying, connected to the brain.
Absolutely.
It's just all patterns, which is insane.
Absolutely. Just slouching cuts off. Like, a lot of people, if you look at them, their head is very forward.
Yeah.
Their shoulders are very rounded because they're at the computer all day. They're looking down at their phone all day. That shift in posture alone cuts off air to the top 30% of your lungs. Well, oxygen drives every healthy process in the body, and without enough oxygen, your brain dies.
And we're shallow breathers nowadays because we're like this. We're just shallow breathers. We barely breathe.
When you're stuck in sympathetic dominance, which means you're stressed out all the time for whatever reason.
Sympathetic dominance. I like that. You put that on a shirt. Dude, that's good. I like that.
One of the common things that we find people are doing is holding their breath.
Yeah.
So they're not getting like the deep 3 count in, hold 3 count, out 3 count, powerful, almost Wim Hof type breathing techniques that we know oxygenate the tissues. So you take someone who's sympathetic dominant, they're stuck in poor posture, they're not getting adjusted, they're not eating the food, they're not exercising. What do you think's going to happen to their nervous system? And then add the fact that 75 to 85% of all Americans are going to experience low back pain of some kind or some other pain of some kind. The latest research is showing that someone in constant pain, their brain is actually shrinking.
Wow.
So
we're constantly freaking out, or constantly stressed, or constantly, because like when you were saying with the breathing, with Wim Hof, I read that book, and in there, when you're a shallow breather, or when you're a nose or a mouth breather,
yeah.
all day, what happens when you hold your breath too long? You panic. You start, you come up, you need to come up for air. He goes, everyone is kind of panicking through the day. You don't really feel it, but as soon as someone cuts you off in a lane, you're freaking out, you're panicking, you're getting mad, or, he goes, because you're a shallow breather. He goes, and when you breathe deep, your chest comes up, you sit up straight, your neck goes back like it's supposed to. We're not supposed to look like a shrimp all day.
Yeah.
And that's what that just made me think of, was he says when you don't breathe and you're a mouth breather, you're panicking all day.
1,000,000%.
Wow.
And so recently I was doing some self-research on, yeah, and it does.
Yeah, that stressed you out a little bit.
I was doing some research on the effects of having the first vertebrae in your spine out of alignment. So when it comes to the neck, it's responsible for so much movement that it's typically the first thing to get knocked out of place.
Oh, wow.
And so I was going over some of like the postural distortions and structural problems, the effects on the nervous system, and then I got all the way into the energetic component. And it was not surprising to hear that people with panic attacks, people with depression, those are the emotional components, the energy, the emotional feelings that people feel when that's related to neck pain. So, when you come into our office, we take a real 360 view of that, where, we're looking at all, not just the structural components, the bone out of place, putting pressure on the nerve, and the postural distortions and the muscle spasms and stuff like that, but also the nutritional components of where those nerves go, what they're supposed to nourish organ-wise, how those are being affected, but also what emotions are affecting this person. I
was literally thinking that right now, right before you said that, because remember when I first came in, all that neck pain I had, I changed my pillow, I changed everything. I was always snappy.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm always, you don't realize that you're always kind of irritated because you just have that burning or your shoulders feel like you're going like this all day.
Oh, yeah.
I would just be snappy. You don't get sleep. And when I came into you, I was just like, please just get rid of this neck pain. My neck was just cracking all over the place. And within just a couple of weeks, and my neck was sore for a while too, because you were explaining to me, it keeps wanting to go back to where it was. And yeah, that snippiness, sleep, man, crazy difference.
Well, you start, if you're in pain all the time, you're eventually not going to be that fun to be around.
Yeah.
Because it's constantly wearing on your subconscious. Like, why am I constantly dealing with this? What's really the matter? Some people are very fearful that it could be a tumor or something very serious.
Yeah.
And they're scared. Nobody really likes doctor's visits. You know what I mean?
Because you want to avoid
they're not
the bad
like,
news.
I get to go to the doctor and see if my brain has a tumor in it because my neck's been hurting for 6 months. So like, of course, we try and keep it a little bit lighter around our office, more of a family feel to make people comfortable so that they could go through that process in a little less sterilized environment as far as like that's all concerned. But so a lot of people, especially men, it was really an honor having you in the office and being able to provide those results for you. You represent a section of the population that typically avoids doctor's visits. And, the latest numbers are showing over 1 million adjustments are delivered chiropractically every day throughout offices throughout the United States. Yeah. And of those 1 million adjustments, like 60 to 70% are women. Because women are really in tune with their bodies. And they deal with so many fluctuations in health and hormones and their periods and dealing with the stress of the kids and all this kind of stuff, trying to run a household and be a career woman as well, and all these things going on, that they're like, the second they have a physical thing on happening,
this train can't stop, I gotta fix it.
Like, no one's taking care of them if they go down. They're taking care of the husband, they're taking care of the kids. Like, I can't afford to be sick, I need my body working well. So they're typically the first ones in the office to like get checked out if something's not working right. So
I was like, I'm fine. 3 leaves a day, it's normal.
There's a huge, and we'll talk a little bit about that. There's definitely a huge men population that has like I'm just going to run this train till it shuts down, till it goes off track. Basically.
Work till I die anyway. And it's like, okay, that's not how we should be thinking.
And the truth is, the majority of stuff that affects you is not going to kill you, but it's definitely going to make life less fun.
Yeah. It's going to kill your fun, though.
You're not going to be able to play with the grandkids like you want. You're not going to be able to travel like you want. If you let your body break down, it's your vehicle. It's the only place you have to live. So it's definitely important to take care of it early and often.
Yeah.
And really invest in something that's going to take care of you long term. So, it's just really interesting. Really interesting.
No, I wanted to bring up, it was a little out of the ordinary for me. And when we first started doing it, I was like, okay, what are we doing, Jason? I've been coming here for a few months. Everything's been working, man. But like, what are we doing? The nutrition response test. I
love it. I
was like, all right. I was like, everything's working, but what are we doing?
Yeah, so
of course, that worked too. And I was like, okay, this isn't as silly as I thought it was going to be.
It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
So we work with the energy of the body to maximize that vital life force flow through the organs through nutrition. And really, we're doing the same with chiropractic. Most people, they're going into the chiropractor for these very generic adjustments. Mm-hmm. But in our office, we don't do generic adjusting. We don't just pop you on this side and that side and, this side of the pelvis and that side of the pelvis and roll you this way and roll you that way and make a bunch of bone noise and then hope you get better and pat you on the butt and see you next time. Like it's more of neurologically, how can I optimize this person's body?
Yeah.
So, of course, when I'm attracted to a nutritional system like nutrition response testing, it's a little kind of energetic base. So people aren't used to that.
Yeah.
But the reason being is because I want to maximize that vital life flow through your body. So the funny story about nutrition response testing is I was actually the one that wasn't doing good when I found that system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you fly to like Europe for things and you go to some pretty big seminars and
I was in practice for about 5 years. Oh yeah, we train internationally all the time. Yeah. And we've invested heavily in these systems to really learn the techniques that work the best. The nutrition response testing saved my life a couple times. Wow. About 5 years into practice, my buddy had a bachelor party. He was getting married. Everybody flew to Vegas, big ordeal, stayed in a big hotel, did the pool parties and the whole 9 yards. Mm. Well, pool parties really work good maybe in your early 20s, but by the time you're close to 30, like your body doesn't respond the same.
Did you go a little too hard, Jason?
I went a little too hard, I'll admit. That was a good time at one point. I haven't touched alcohol in over 5 years, but at one point I thought I was a very good time. And I came back and my stomach was on fire.
Just inflamed from the toes up.
Antacids didn't touch it. I mean, it was like literally did not respond to nothing. This was like October. And the cool thing about being a doctor is you get paid to explore what works in the human body to heal it, right? Mm-hmm. So
were you just like B12 stem cells?
Well, I wasn't trained on injections at the time, so I wasn't necessarily going hard that way, but I did get a little flyer in the mail about some nutrition response testing, introductory seminar that I could get some CE units for some credit for my continuing education. And it was going to be in Northern California in Hayward, so wasn't too far away. And I ended up going, and part of the seminar is you get tested by an advanced practitioner that's trained through the highest levels of that testing protocol. You get put on a protocol for whatever's going on. And I'm like, I'm there because I really need some help. Something is weird. This is not responding very well. So they tested me. They put me on a few supplements. I cut everything out that was bad because I was so miserable. So I cut out all the dairy, wheat, sugar, everything.
Just body hurt? Just everything?
No, my stomach was just acidic that I was literally waking up and like throwing up stomach bile.
That's how I was when I came into you. I was like, dude, I came and laid down. It's crazy.
Throat burning in the middle of the night. Just cannot function stomach-wise. And within 2 days, my stomach problem was gone of starting my protocol. And I said, okay, I found something really significant here, and I need to bring it to my patients because what are the odds that they're going to have? If I'm having these problems, what's the odds that my patients are going to be having these problems? And so I went through and got all the advanced testing and all the advanced certifications, and I performed those testing and protocols for my patients. Amazing results.
Well, at least you were your guinea pig, so you knew it worked, though. You know, you were like, wow, I'm terrible. let me see who else is going through this like I am, because that'll just ruin your whole year.
The great thing about our office is we don't recommend anything we don't do. There is nothing that's just a gimmick or a marketing this or the latest thing on YouTube or the latest thing on Instagram. We don't order machines just based off their popularity.
Yeah.
We do what works. And it's not always comfortable for people to do because it's usually the opposite of what they want to do. There's always that lady that's hurting their stomach with coffee or their one glass of wine.
Yeah.
It's just my one glass of wine every night, but they've been drinking it for 20 years.
Yeah.
And now the body's not responding like it should, and they don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
So you have to be at a point to really like give up the things that are making you ill and do some things that maybe you don't want to do. Like it's funny, the little kid comes out of people, when we're a little kid and we're told to clean our room, we don't want to clean our room.
Yeah.
But our parents don't let us get away with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not cleaning our room. They say, go in your room and you're not going to get to go play with your friends until you do, And so we kind of have to have those like more stern conversations with people. Like, yeah, I know you don't want to take these supplements and I know you don't want to cut out your one glass of wine, but this is what's making you sick.
Yeah.
So like let's
if not, you're just wasting your money here. But might as well do it.
We don't want you to spin your wheels. We want you to be the next miracle that comes out of our office. So that's how I found nutrition response testing. It's changed thousands of people's lives at this point. It's been around for a really long time. Put together by a brilliant doctor. Dr. Uland trains doctors to go out into their practices and help people. He's out of Florida, and I mean, it's been around for over 50 years and been very, very effective.
I've never even heard of it before. And so for anyone who's never done this before, let me explain so it doesn't catch you off guard if you come in for this, because it caught me off guard that day. And dude, trust me, I have copper in my corners where I meditate in the backyard. Like, I'm into this stuff. And even this caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, wait, I'm doing what? Yeah. So you hold like glass, like these little glass vials.
Yeah. So there's homeopathic vials.
Yeah. And then you put a few of them on your stomach and your chest, and you lay down, and then the testing begins as you're holding these glass things. And so what are those doing exactly? Like they're showing body, you like what you're lacking, or like are they changing? Because I couldn't actually like see them.
They change. Yeah. So what happens is we do a nutritional testing that's based off the neurological reflexes to the organs. 90% of the sympathetic nervous system transmits signals through the skin to the organs. And so what we're using is specific points, kind of like acupressure. Where, if you go in and get like a deep acupressure, like foot rub, there's different parts of your foot that represent different organ systems. Yeah. Where if they deeply rub the foot in a specific area, it may cause your bowel to move, or it may cause your stomach digestion to move, or it may cause you to salivate or whatever.
Yeah.
So we know from the mapping that's on the body, some of it has to do with acupuncture points, which is the meridian system, ancient Chinese medicine that's been around for thousands of years, where these points are, and we're able to stimulate them with light pressure. The basis for the testing has to do with an emergency response in the body. So naturally, we use what's called muscle testing. It's been around for a really long time. To muscle test your deltoid muscle is what's primarily used. You literally just have someone hold their arm up, you apply some pressure, and you have them resist. And there's a locking mechanism in the muscle that feels like you're pressing against something really hard. That locking mechanism is a signal from the brain to us saying the brain is connected to that muscle properly through signaling. When we then put light pressure on a neurological reflex, let's say to your stomach, since we're kind of on that digestion kick, let's say you're having really bad acid reflux and your stomach is extremely inflamed. That's an emergency in the body. Inflammation you can think of like being on fire, like flame, right?
That's literally what it feels like too.
So,
like your legs feel like they're almost on fire.
Oh yeah, when you have a system that's inflamed,
fire.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Especially because I don't eat it a lot anymore. I eat a big thing of ice cream on a Saturday with my kids. Legs hurt immediately. Yeah, it's crazy.
1,000,000%. So you're doing things they're inflaming different parts of your body, and when we put just a little pressure on that reflex, your body goes, like this is a bad deal. Like
Yeah.
we can't take any more pressure on the stomach, and your arm will go weak, signaling to the practitioner that your stomach is an issue. And then through the magic of the human body, so within 6 inches of your body, you have this magnetic aura as well. So there's energy flowing through these systems.
Yeah.
And there's energy related to every nutrient and every thing that's blocking proper functioning of your stomach. And we have those homeopathic energies that are labeled in vials. And then we also have the vitamins and herbs associated with restoring proper function of those problems.
Yeah.
So we're able to place little glass containers of the actual remedy or little glass containers that represent a problem that's affecting the stomach and determine energetically how to balance that stomach function out.
Yeah.
So,
which sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when you're sitting there and you're holding the glass vials in your hand and you know, you've got all these little things all over you and you're doing these little tests while you're laying down and you've got the little thing on your stomach attached to the computer. But, dude, that crazy burning in my upper back I used to get, gone.
Yeah.
I was like, this stuff works? This looks crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because, I mean, I still get, like, the tight knot. Just because I always have knots right there constantly.
Yeah.
But that burning that I used to get between my shoulder blades up to my neck, just that constant burning, always popping of leaves, gone. And, you know, we were talking, you were like, you know, it's still not gone. I was like, I'm still feeling this. My back doesn't, it's just like I'm just burning up here. And we looked at my x-rays again and you were telling me that after I did that test, you were telling me to take the enzyme with the BHI for the acid, you know, and you explained, and I was like, hold on, my stomach is causing this. And you were like, you need to lay off on the fats in the morning, especially with the coffee, you know, you need to get those enzymes in you for a while and then start, you know, maybe testing it out, seeing what's bugging you. And I was like, oh, all right, well, everything else has worked so far, but this sounds crazy. And then you pulled out this chart that shows the stomach and the nerves that go up to the back. And I was like, all right, let's try this out. Dude, within about a week and a half, that burning went away.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Just from a little bit of diet, taking the right, well, and all enzymes are not the same either. Because I used to take enzymes, but you were like, it has to have this, this, and this.
Yeah.
This is the one you need. Take that for a week or two. Crazy.
Back
I was
online.
like, my doctor was telling me to take Prilosec and all these things, and then come to find out that's not good for your bones after, you know, years. And I was just like, enzymes? The right enzyme got rid of that upper back pain that I kept getting.
Oh, yeah. And that's why it's called nutrition response. Because literally, while you're getting tested on the table with this physical evaluation system, your arm will go from weak because we're putting pressure on the stomach that your body can't handle to where if I put enzymes on your body, just on your body, not even in your body.
Sounds crazy.
Your arm will go strong with the same amount of pressure on the stomach reflex, indicating to the practitioner this person's deficient. They really need help with enzymes. They need help with stomach acid, breaking down their food, which is a very common problem nowadays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad
and
we
that
could get those.
sounds insane if you were just to tell me that. But, dude, it worked. And I still buy those enzymes, and now I take them I'm like, and especially before certain meals, like, you know, I buy dairy enzymes. Now I buy, and that's just, you know, that's just the enzymes. We did stuff for months up to that, you know, talk, you know, with my stress response and the different types of testings with that little thing on me when you're laying down. And I was like, dude, but like we said earlier, like what doctor or, you know, who has time to really do that?
Yeah.
And sit with you for an hour and, you know, and you have your staff and, you know, and they know what they're doing and, you know, just all the little straps and the computer stuff and the nutrition response. It's like, who really, you know, I'd never been to a chiropractor that had rooms dedicated, you know, for all these different things. I barely even got an x-ray when I'd go to a chiropractor before. You know, you were like, before I touch you, you're a mess. Let's see what's going on. And we looked at the x-ray and you were like, have you been in like a car accident or something? Like, man,
which most people have.
Yeah. And it was like, man, we got some work to do and
well, and that's
it all worked though, man. It's crazy.
That's really the difference with our office is that the level of detail that you get is advanced.
Yeah.
When you walk into my office, you've usually been if you're a new patient, you're usually somewhere between the age of 20 and 60 or 70.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been living for 20 to 30 years without proper care. There's a lot of people that come in, never had an adjustment, never taken care of their body with holistic concepts like what we have in our office.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you want someone to take an x-ray? Wouldn't you want someone to check how the muscles are in balance and check them for tenderness and tonicity? Wouldn't you want someone to check your posture?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want, if you're doing a neurological based nutrition exam, wouldn't you want a heart rate variability exam to see if your body is responding to its environment like it's supposed to?
Yeah.
That's
what I did. The heart rate and I've realized my cortisol is super high in the morning.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's why I feel so out of my skin in the morning, and then I'm drinking caffeine on top of that, and I cut out caffeine, which was hard.
Yeah.
But I had more energy in the morning. I was like, I wish somebody would have told me this years ago. I would have stopped all this.
People aren't aware of it, but your adrenals, in order to wake up in the morning, are supposed to be firing.
Yeah,
and
mine were over firing. And
between chronic stress and caffeinated beverages, you're constantly squeezing your adrenal power. And really, your adrenals, when you study like Chinese medicine, are like the source of like your whole life force and chi and everything. Like it's a big deal to have adrenal power powering you throughout the day, and in the afternoon they're supposed to fire as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you spend
it's not normal to want to take a nap at 3 in the afternoon. I used to have to take a nap between 2 to 4, just shut my eyes for 15 minutes. I have to. I would be driving down Herndon just about to knock out. I would have to literally shut my eyes, and I don't remember the last time I've felt like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like overnight or anything, but over time I was like, okay, if I have caffeine, switch it up. Don't have it for the first 2 hours of the day. You know, getting sleep, I'm sure, has made a huge difference with all the neck pain and all that. But it just like my body was just falling apart. I was like, dude, I'm only 34 years old. Like, I can't be in this much pain. You know, and I eat pretty clean too, which is the crazy part. I think I don't eat too bad, but just certain things my body was just not agreeing with, either too much fat or protein, or don't mix it with the coffee and the acidic. And
well, it's not what you eat, it's how your body's breaking it down. People don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I could stand in a Whole Foods all day and talk to people who buy, I mean, they're spending buku bucks on the organic this and the organic that and the gluten frees and the sugar frees and all this kind of stuff. They're spending tons of money on this very expensive food because they've bought into the fact that it's a higher nutritional density.
It's got less calories, Jason. It's good.
Less calories, all this kind of stuff. If you're not breaking it down, it's going putrid in your gut and creating health problems just like eating McDonald's would.
Yeah.
Maybe in a little bit different way, but you know, like,
it's just packaged prettier. You know,
it really
it's still
is.
wheat and gluten and dairy and all this unprocessed stuff, you know, meant to sit on a shelf for 6 months.
How many people are on 8 to 10 supplements? I got people that come in, they tell us that they're on 30 different supplements already before meeting us.
Yeah.
If they're not balanced if their digestive tract is not able to break down those supplements, they're paying for a really expensive urine.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to throw wet spaghetti at the wall and see what will stick. Versus we can just zone in on exactly what the problem is.
Yeah.
And within a couple days, have you on a remedy that you usually within the first 2 to 4 weeks, you're going to start feeling a huge difference. And as you start to apply those concepts over time, your body's just going to function on a whole new level.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of criticism on our methods and all this kind of stuff, but if it wasn't effective, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
We don't want to sit in front of people and try and explain why this crazy system works.
Yeah, I don't think your office would be full every time I went in if it just didn't work. You know, people would be polite. I feel good. They don't come back.
Yeah.
You know, it's just they wouldn't come back if it wasn't working.
It saved my life recently. A couple weeks ago, even came down with really bad gastritis and colitis again. Had a flare up. Why? Because I was drinking too much coffee on an empty stomach, but I didn't think anything about it because I had limited my coffee and it hadn't been a problem for a while.
First thing in the morning, and
kind of like snuck up on me, you know, like didn't think anything about it, and all of a sudden I'm really sick. All of a sudden, well, what do? I don't go to the emergency room and none of that kind of stuff, right? I got tested with my own system. We found through the miracle of nutrition response testing that I had like a little bit of a fungus flare up in my transverse colon. We put me on some targeted supplements. Within 48 hours, I was like 90% better.
Yeah.
Avoided a trip to the hospital, avoided a trip to the walk-in clinic or whatever to try and figure out what was going on. All the expensive GI testing, didn't have to do it. Like literally overnight changed my life. I went a whole week without drinking coffee and felt pretty good. Saturday morning, I wake up. I think, well, I want to have a cup of coffee Saturday morning. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Immediately started feeling gas in my stomach. Immediately started feeling bad in my gut. So I cut coffee out.
Yeah.
And like, I'm doing just fine. And I'm taking my supplements and I'm getting, you know, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, this can be a great alternative for people that they're looking for something that maybe medicine doesn't have really great answers for. I looked up, I'm not a medical doctor or anything, but I looked up on Google what would happen if I went to the emergency room, or what would they give me, or what are my options. And really, other than blood tests and some other diagnostic tests for my stomach, the only thing they really said was if the pain was too much to bear, they could give me a painkiller.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to fix anything. That's just masking the problem, you know.
Yeah,
so
you got billions of dollars worth of equipment in there, and you can't just run a test on my stomach and see what. Well, you know what? That's interesting. No, you actually can do, and I think Tony Robbins is investing a lot of money with a lot of other billionaires, and they're creating these cancer panel tests, or to the point where one day you can just go get a blood test, and it'll measure hundreds of different types of cancer, and you catch it quickly. And he was saying, and you can change a lot of this stuff just by changing your stress and your nutrition. You know, cutting certain things out, you know, whether it's sugar or the big one was sugar.
Yeah.
But these tests will actually start tracking down before the cancer even starts getting big, or it'll know what's coming. I was like, we spent so much money. I've done so many half marathons for cancer and donations. Like, why are we not getting anywhere with just cancer treatment? It blows my mind, you know. And just the simple stuff that you're doing, just basic nutrition testing, just completely change your life, your energy levels. You know, you don't have to buy all these crazy pills and supplement caffeine, all this stuff that comes out every week. And it's like, no, you don't have to add more, you just have to subtract, it seems like. You know, like the coffee, or, you know, getting things tested.
When we start approaching health from an energetic perspective, we'll cure more cancers than we know what to do with.
Yeah.
Everything that we deal with in our office is energetic based, in that the adjustments are to tonify the nervous system and how your whole body functions. Your nutritional testing is to tonify the nervous system and how your organs function. And the energy sessions, energy healing sessions as well, is to remove negative energy from your auric field, to remagnetize your auric field, so that vital life force flows properly over the nervous system to your organs. And I think in cancer treatment, there's some that's very successful. They have a high success rate. But you know, rest in peace to my mom. I just lost her from cancer this year.
Wow.
And she had a really advanced stage cancer that was a apple core tumor around her colon. It had metastasized to her liver, and they thought to her lungs as well, but they didn't make it that far. And you know, not being a medical doctor and not really knowing how it all works, you know, I thought, oh, like, she was having some intestinal problems. We had put her on a program, but like a lot of parents that you try and help, they don't really follow things very well. You're their kid, you're not really their doctor, and all that kind of stuff. And so she didn't really follow our program that well, and she was kind of doing some stuff on her own and kind of going along for a while till she wasn't really doing that good. And she went in, they did a couple CT scans a couple years ago prior and found nothing. And then they, through some new testing, they found the tumors. And it was just so interesting that the solutions that they had for her were really poor. Like you hear about running for the cause. You hear about all these advanced treatments for cancer all the time. I had, when I
billions of dollars a year, and it's like we haven't made a dent in this cancer thing. It's crazy.
They did very little to nothing for her.
Yeah.
The tumor was constricting her colon and causing constipation and impaction of the colon. And my first thought was, well, go in and take the tumor out. Like to free up the bowel so that she can move toxins out of her body. It seemed to make sense.
They're like, remove toxins? What are you talking about,
The doctor didn't want to remove the tumor. He thought that she would have trouble recovering if they took the tumor out. And so they left the tumor in. And then, of course, my mom didn't want to do any medical treatments and stuff like that. So she kind of just wrote it out, and she ended up passing. It was kind of her choice and stuff like that. But, when it came to having this problem hit your family, you think of the medical, well, this is where the medical system puts on their cape and flies to the rescue and applies all these magical things, cuts this tumor out and
they got state-of-the-art stuff in there. And it's
they're doing all these wonderful things. They got all this kind of stuff, and literally nothing happened.
Where's the Iron Man office at? Don't we donate billions of dollars to treat this stuff? Where's the Avengers, secret lab that you can do a body scan on or something?
Yeah.
Where's it at?
There was literally nothing. They didn't even want to remove the tumor. So I was highly shocked. And then, of course, my mom's very stubborn. Very holistically driven. She doesn't want to do medical treatments really that bad. So she did end up passing per her choice and everything. So I respect that choice and everything like that. But when I was waiting,
that far, though,
I was waiting, I was waiting for them. They missed the cancer on CT scan twice.
That happened to my grandma back in the day. Oh, it's a stomach ache. And then 6 months later, we should have done something about this a long time ago. It's grown too far now. It's like you guys only ran one test? You guys didn't run a couple? She's been in here 3 times. I mean, yeah.
And I saw that twice. I had an ex-girlfriend whose mom actually was head of labor and delivery at Kaiser Hospital. She walked in. We were all vacationing in Paso Robles, kind of wine tasting. Had a motorhome over there and everything. And she walked into the motorhome and was like, what do you guys think of this? And she pulls down her shirt. And she got a huge tumor on her neck. And, of course, we didn't say, that's a tumor, you're going to die or anything like that. We're very that doesn't look...
We got to leave right now, though.
that doesn't look real good. Have you had it checked out? And she goes, yeah, I went to my doctor at Kaiser. He said... oh, it's nothing, don't worry about it. I'm like, well, did they do a CT scan or MRI or what did they do? Oh, no. He said, unless I was worried about it cosmetically, because it's a bump, unless I was worried about it cosmetically, that he didn't recommend any tests. So she goes in a second time, same type of thing, doesn't recommend any tests. She shows her mom, who's a nurse. Her mom goes, oh, yeah, that's nothing, don't worry about it, da-da-da-da-da. No biopsy, no scans or nothing, right?
What?
So per our recommendation, she went and insisted on getting tested. They find stage 4 lymphoma.
What?
Yeah, that they should have had 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
You could have taken medication in the beginning and it could have went away,
And luckily, stage 4 lymphoma was something that responded really good to chemotherapy. She did chemo for about 6 months and it went away.
Yeah.
But it's you come in with a spine that's been, through whatever, car accident, sports injury, da-da-da-da-da. I'm taking an x-ray because I want to see what's going on in there. Without looking, how do you know?
Yeah.
So, in medicine, without these doctors prescribing these tests, if they don't take a look, how do they know?
Yeah.
And I really felt that way with my mom, that they knew she was having trouble with constipation. She knew that was probably one of the reasons why they couldn't see anything on the initial CT scans 2 or 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
Why didn't they take the extra step to hold, make sure the bowel wasn't impacted, then send her in for a CT. And like the coordination of everything was really poor. They could have saved a life, you know?
Yeah.
They could have saved a life. And that's how serious that we take your health in our office too.
Yeah.
Is like your life, if you feel like you've been everywhere and done everything, you've tried everything that you can think of and nothing's worked, we want to have those things that are a little bit outside of the box that we can actually find an angle to heal that problem for you.
Yeah, true preventative medicine.
Like, we got to get to the source, find the core of the issue, remove that by whatever means necessary, and if you're willing to do the work, you'll get results.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we've put together in the last 12 years for our community. So we really are excited when we get new people in the office and we can really put them through our evaluation systems, which are some scientific clinical and then some more energetic based. But they work hand in hand.
Yeah.
And that's where you find the power of the two working, is that not only do we use something that may be hippy dippy, maybe it's not in your wheelhouse of things that you necessarily believe in, but we know they're so powerful that if you allow us to apply those principles, those healing principles to your body, that you're going to get results.
Yeah.
And then we can make a believer out of you, and that's all fun. And we have great testimonials of people that were like, been to other chiropractors, been to, you know, whatever offices, from massage therapist to acupuncturist to physical therapist to whatever.
Yeah.
And whatever system they used maybe didn't get them the results that they were looking for. Now we have the outside of the box thinking to put along with these really powerful therapies to make it work. So
you got to mix the old school and the new school. You know, it seems crazy when people talk about, you know, certain things, or, you know, plant medicine or whatever it might be. But it's like, when you think about it, I got off heavy sleeping medication just by switching to valerian root, which is just a plant. They put it in a pill and that thing knocks me out. And I was like, hold on, you're telling me this whole time I could have not had the weird mornings and the headaches and the side effects? There's this little valerian root chamomile pills at Whole Foods. You know what I mean? So it all seems hippy dippy, or the natural stuff does. Like, I think you need both. I think when you need an antibiotic so your foot doesn't fall off, you need an antibiotic.
1,000,000%.
And then when you're on these medications that don't work, though, maybe it's time to switch to like a natural sleep spray, or like a valerian root type thing, or whatever it might, or enzymes, or whatever it might be. You know, I think you got to have both. But like you were saying, these industries attack each other. Or, you know, if you start getting on the FDA's radar, they shut you down, you know. So then you just got to go to Germany to get stem cells, you know, and it must work because NFL players fly there to do it.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, like you were saying earlier, just things get shut down, and then the propaganda, and then you don't even know that it's ever available to you, you know.
Well, and back into the biology of belief, They've actually done medical research on the efficacy of placebo. Your mind is powerful.
God, I was going to bring that up earlier, but I didn't want to go down that. Those studies are insane.
Your mind is extremely powerful. What you think,
more powerful than a pill,
brings about your reality.
Yeah.
That's where the whole Tony Robbins things come in. Even when he was broke, no dollars in his bank account, going to talk to millionaires about things they should buy from him. Of course, like the imposter syndrome he must have felt, right?
Yeah.
Driving him to do positive affirmations and charge his brain energetically through those affirmations to create the reality that he wants. And now he's a multi-millionaire, probably billionaire, whatever. I don't know where he's at, but like, he's doing well, like owns his own island or whatever, you know? So it's very powerful when it comes to health. To really optimize the belief in what you're doing. And that's where people are cut off. They're cut off in finding the path that will really help them. If you would have been so medically minded that you only believe in medicine and you're not willing to even try anything other than medicine, then when the medicine either starts causing so many side effects that you feel terrible all the time, or it loses its efficacy. And we see this with blood pressure medications a lot, where the doctor puts them on one blood pressure medication and it works a little bit, and then their blood pressure spikes for whatever reason, and they got a second blood pressure medication, and they got a third, and then between the three of them, it's still high, and they don't know why, right?
Oh, I'm in the life insurance business. Dude, those medications are insane. they just keep throwing them till one works.
Well, and when
and the insurance company goes, what's going on here?
If you're the type of person that has no faith or belief in anything else other than medicine, then what you've really done is put yourself in between a rock and a hard place. Because when that system stops working like it's supposed to for you, you could put yourself in real danger. You could die.
Yeah.
Right? And in my world, I'm very fluid between the two. I believe there's medical emergencies, and you should have, like you said, your foot's going to fall off. Go take a freaking antibiotic.
Yeah.
Like, get this under control.
Yeah, we're not sitting here mixing willow bark. Go get an antibiotic.
Yeah. I'm not rubbing mud on your face, you know, or
we're
something.
not doing that. We're not going to, sit here and hope it gets better,
No, I'm not sending you home for a bubble bath.
Yeah, you need surgery.
Epsom salt and lavender or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, go get the medical system's best treatments for those things, especially if they have highly effective treatments available for you. Just go do it, you know. But we're finding more and more health problems that are actually highly reactive to natural therapies.
Yeah.
That the cost associated with the doctor's visits now, just for an aspirin in an ICU, could be $1,000.
Yeah.
You know, and the number one cause of bankruptcy in America is medical bankruptcy with people with proper insurance.
My whole Instagram, I probably say that every other day.
You know,
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now, like
52% of home foreclosures are because of medical debt. It's insane.
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. And so now with these natural therapies, if it's not life-threatening, if it's something you've been dealing with for more than 3 to 6 months, but that's not something that you should just run into the emergency room, we do have things that can help you.
Yeah.
That's no side effects, all natural, all that kind of great stuff. And if you come in with an open mind, what you do is you harness the power of placebo.
Yeah.
Because it is a thing. If you have an open mind and you believe that what you're doing can be effective, it gives you an 80% chance that it's going to work. And they did this scientific test with knee surgeries of all things.
I know
where they cut knees open. So they videotaped we got the technology.
A bunch of veterans or something, right?
Yeah, they took this guy that blew his knee out. He was ready for surgery. They had it on the TV that he was watching. He thought it was a picture of his knee. They go in, they pretend that fake incision, not doing anything, sew him back up. He leaves the hospital pain-free.
Successful surgery. I'm walking out of here.
Because he saw the scar, because he believed in what he was doing was going to work.
That's right. They gave him a scar.
Yeah.
But they never actually did anything.
They never actually did anything.
Crazy.
They didn't clean up anything. So your belief has a lot to do with what guides your health. And I find that we run into that a lot in the holistic side of things, is that, I don't believe in that supplement. I don't believe in what you're doing is going to work because you pushed on my arm or whatever. Well, like, if the people that taught it to us, if it didn't work for us, we wouldn't do it for you, number one. But then if it didn't work for our patient base, we wouldn't do it for you. And then we find lack of implementation and discipline is a big one. Because with natural therapies, there's nothing to get you off the hook. You're either all in and you're creating those biological changes in your body and feeling the benefits of it, or you're going to sabotage yourself and you're not going to get the results. Yeah. It's kind of like going on a diet to lose weight. Yeah, like you restrict your caloric intake, you eat the proper combination of foods, you're going to burn fat. But the second you spike your insulin with a beer or a Bloody Mary or whatever,
or even
you start
vapes.
eating fruit.
Now they're finding that vapes, the fruity ones, spike your insulin.
With vapes.
How crazy is that?
Then you're going to be sabotaging your weight loss, even if everything else that you're doing is right on par with what should lose weight, right? So when it comes to these natural therapies, it takes a high level of discipline to get those results. So luckily you were someone that came in, you were serious about your health, you were sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
We can tell you what to do, but we can't do the work for you.
Yeah.
You know, so
exactly.
That's definitely like a big thing. In your body, your brain and nervous system controls everything. And you've got 31 pair of spinal nerves. You've got 33 vertebrae. You've got 24 of which are movable. You've got 206 bones. You've got 650 muscles. You've got 78 organs in your body. You've got an amazing complex system of hormones and enzymes and all these things going on. The idea that you can just take a pill and it's just going to fix everything, doesn't that sound crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
How crazy does that? I'm just going to take this little pill and it's going to fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
Versus let's start unpacking some of the things that got you here.
Yeah.
You know, over the last 20, 30 years, you've been engaging in these behaviors that are not conducive to healthy function.
Yeah.
Let's start removing the structural stress. Let's start removing the biochemical stress. I want to
Awesome.
talk. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on today, man. I know it's kind of last minute. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I didn't even get through half of the things I wanted to ask you. But I'll put all Jason's links down below. So you guys have any questions, drop them on there.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. It's definitely an honor to be a service to, you know, the Clovis and Fresno community, and of course, all the surrounding communities.
So I'm going to drop all of Jason's information down below. And thank you for checking this video out. We'll see you guys on the next one.
See you guys.